My name is Shirley Hamilton, maiden name Winters. I was born July 5th, 51. I was born in Schreiber, well, at Terrace Bay Hospital at the time, so born here. My dad's parents, my grandmother, Victoria Winters, she was born here, and my grandfather was born in Germany, Grandpa Winters, and then on my mom's side, her mother, Anna Woods, she was born in Port Arthur, and her father, my mom's father, Robert Woods, he was born in Fort William. I married David Hamilton in October 19th, 74, and we met through my brother, Jack. He went to school in Thunder Bay, and Dave went to school with him, and we met through him. Sometimes Dave wants to beat him up, and sometimes not. I have two surviving children, Marnie, and she said I can't give her age, and Adam, he is 34 and Marnie's 2 years older. Adam's married to Amanda Bergenaw, and they have two beautiful children. Our grandson's Aaron, who's 5, and Andrew, who is 8 months. The joy in our lives. Yes, I am retired, but my last job was branch manager at Superior Credit Union. I worked in that field, that occupation, for many years. So. I do a lot of volunteer work at the church. That's a lot. Dave and I have started Meals on Wheels. We started last year, and we're really enjoying that. And I previously volunteered. I was involved with Canadian Cancer Society for many years, 15, 20 years. On the Heritage Committee, I was on the founding committee, part of that when we started. I was involved with Sunday school, taught Sunday school, and they let me do that. And there was a girls group at the church that I used to lead, and with Adam, he was in Beavers, and I was treasurer of the Beavers and the Cubs when he was involved with that. So in the wintertime, I'll tell you, we spent most of our time at the arena. You were sliding, up playing, and mostly outside, right? But the arena was right through growing up. Skating Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, you went skating the whole weekend. I figure skated. I used to love that, so during the week I did that. The old change room in the old arena, they had heaters in there. Oh, it was cold in that arena, and they had heaters, and you used to go halfway through and you take your skates off and put your feet on the heaters to warm up, and then back you go again, So that was lots of fun. We did that, like I say, right through. And when you weren't there skating, you were there watching hockey, because hockey was such a big thing back then. Yeah. Summertime was mostly, playing outside. The weather was nice, but we did, we'd go to the schoolyard and play baseball or tag or whatever. Lots of time. We used to play on the street. That was the big thing. You had your street you could play on, and I can remember lots of games, Red Rover and all that sort of stuff. But that's pretty much, yeah. Oh, and we were teenagers in high school. We started, I think we're probably in grade 9, and we go, not every week, maybe every second week or something, but each family would take a turn. They'd come to our house, the one, usually a Friday night, and we'd have a party, and the kids, just from the class or whatever, friends and that. We were never left alone. There was always a parent lurking somewhere, And I remember one party at our house, I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Billy Drake. Of course, the living room, we had a fairly large living room, and Mom took the coffee table out and the rug up and that, so we played our music and we danced, and they always had, there was refreshments at every house, and I'm sure it was Billy Drake or Nelson Smith. They went around and they'd turn off the lights right in the living room, turn off the lamps. Next thing you know, it'd be my mother right behind them, turning them back on again, Oh, we had fun doing that. But we'd go to a different house, every couple of weeks. We'd have a party. And, yeah, we were just dancing and lots of fun. Has things ever changed since I was a child? I'm sure I'm not old enough for this, but we watched the commercial on TVA. Do you remember this? The first man, landing on the moon. I'm thinking, oh, I Am My Mother or Grandmother Now, because yes, I remember that. That was, I guess technology is the big thing that has changed, of course, with computers and television. We used to have a television that sat on the floor, you know, one of those big ones with the rabbit ears, and you have to change around. And we had Channel 2 and Channel 4, I remember that. Probably both CBC channels, eh? So, although some programs were good, you know, you didn't watch a whole lot of TV because some of it wasn't so great after all for kids. What else was there? Of course, the telephone. And our number was 274, I remember that. And you'd pick up the phone and you'd talk to the operator. And you'd ask for the number, you didn't dial. Oh yeah, of course, your vehicles, I know. I remember we had, yes, my dad had this big old Buick. It was a huge thing, you know, they were big boats back then, eh? And when we used to all go a trip somewhere, the farthest we ever went was Thunder Bay, you know, as a family, but even when you went, you know, to camp or when you went to picnics and that, we used to fight over who got to lay in the back window, because the window was, you know, it was like this, and there was the back part of the window, and it was big enough that some kid could lay up there in the sun, eh? And of course, no seat belts back then, so there was probably 4 in the front seat, and then the rest of you were sitting on each other's knees or standing in the back, so, but it was that back window, yeah. Well, I like to read. I like the internet, computers, the technology, the changes have been good, so I like the computer. Oh yes, I like my gardening, that's very therapeutic, I enjoy that. Same thing with reading, eh? I love my grandchildren coming over, that's not a hobby, that's just a treat, eh, so, yeah. You were asking about memories, favorite memories when we were kids. You know, we used to go, I was talking about the car, and we used to go on picnics. That was a Sunday outing. You know, we used to always go on picnics, and it didn't matter where. Sometimes we'd go down to Hydro Bay, and there was a little beach there where Williams has his camp. Well, there wasn't camps down there, and Camisos had one there too. And there weren't camps, and it was just the beach. So we used to picnic there a lot, and we'd go all over. We'd go to Red Rock and picnic, and you know, we used to all get in the car and make lunch. And Steel River, I remember one time being there, and they had piles, like a huge mountain of sand, I guess for the highway. And by the time we all got home, there wasn't 1 square inch of skin that was clean, because you know, we're up in those hills sliding down the main. Oh, it was dirty sand. But my mother said the bathtub took a real beating that night. Remember when the winter of '96, when we had all that snow, eh? And talking about years, I mean, my brother David would have been just a couple of years old, and they had pictures of it in the snow that time, and that they had, and Dad said sometimes they had a tunnel through. You know, there was winters where they had to tunnel to get out, because it was so much snow. And there's a picture of the house with David on top of the snowbank, and you can't see the front of the house, just a bit of the peak, eh? So, you know, lots of snow. My grandfather, he used to have horses and a wagon, right? And I was thinking about this story this morning. He got his first truck, and I don't know, it was an old, you know, Model T Ford. I don't know what it was, but this old truck he had, new truck for him. And Grandma telling us about how the first time he went for a ride, and he went through the fence because he mistook the gas and the brake and the clutch and all that stuff. He got all mixed up his first and went through the fence, and the whole time he's yelling, "Whoa, Nellie!" whatever the horse's name was. That was a bit of a shock to him, I guess. You know, talk about change, eh? I remember as a teenager, you couldn't wait to get out of Schreiber and move away, and we did. Went to university and went to Thunder Bay, but come back again. We were glad to be back, so we came back because Dave got a job here, and it's the best move. I think Schreiber is a wonderful place. The people are wonderful. I remember my dad took sick the first time. He was really sick with his his lungs and his heart, and he was, you know, in bad shape. And there were still kids at home. I was in Thunder Bay at the time, but there must have been 4 or 5 of the kids still at home. And, you know, the town was so wonderful. They came, they couldn't get over it. Like, some organization, I think it might have been minor hockey, filled the oil tank, because he was off work for a long time, eh? And then they'd have boxes of groceries delivered to the house, someone would, you know, or another organization. And you can't get that everywhere, do you? Eh? That's pretty wonderful. It's the same when people pass away, you know, the support and the outpouring of people here locally. When I worked at the credit union, we were on the main street on Scotia Street. There was a young girl. I think her first name was Lisa, but I don't remember the last, and she worked at Spadoni's. Now, I believe she was from the Red Lake area. Her and her boyfriend had moved. He was working, I don't know if it was the mine or something, but anyway, she was here maybe a year or so. She was a nice young girl, and we used to talk to her often, and she was saying they were going back to Red Lake because he got a job there, and, you know, family and that. And I said, that's too bad, you know, we'll miss you. And she says, you know, I'm going to miss it here. She says, I really hesitate to go back. She says, because I'll tell you, Schreiber people, she's are happy people. And she says, it's so nice to see that. She says, because you don't get that everywhere. And, you know, we've maybe lost some of the happiness over the years with stuff going on and, you know, closures, mine closure and that. But I think people are still, deep down, are happy people here. You know, concerns, of course, but and friendly. So, yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere else. I wouldn't live anywhere else unless I had to, so, yeah.